They called it progress. I called it theft. By the time I discovered the 12 luxury villas standing proudly on my land, complete with white fences, manicured lawns, and smug homeowners sipping wine on decks that weren't legally theirs, the HOA president had the nerve to say, "You should be thankful. We raised your property value." That was the day I decided to raise something else, hell itself. 3 years earlier, I had inherited the land from my father, 40 acres of open pasture and oak trees on the edge of Clearview Estates, a high-end gated community with a notoriously arrogant HOA. My dad had always told me, "Son, they'll smile in your face while drawing lines around what's yours. Always keep your papers safe." I did, every deed, every survey, every legal description, tucked in a fireproof box, locked away. What I didn't expect was how far the HOA would go when greed met entitlement. It started small. Orange flags appeared along the edge of my fence line. Then came construction equipment, graders, bulldozers, and cement trucks. I thought they were expanding a road or adding drainage. But when the foundations started to form, my stomach dropped. I called the HOA office. "Clearview Homeowners Association, this is Sharon speaking." "Yeah, Sharon, this is Daniel Holt. Why is there construction on my property?" There was a pause. "I'm sorry, sir, which address?" "It's not an address. It's my land, parcel 48B. Right next to Clearview Estates." "Oh," a longer pause this time. "I believe that's part of our new development phase." "No, it's not. That's my land." "Well, you'll have to take that up with the developers. We've already approved the project." Click. That was the start of my nightmare, and, eventually, their downfall. For months, I tried reasoning with them. I showed them documents, surveys, even the official county GIS maps. But the HOA board, led by a man named Gregory Pierce, a former real estate agent turned community visionary, insisted it was a clerical error. "Don't worry, Daniel," he said during one of their public meetings, his smile condescending. "Once everything's finished, I'm sure we can work out a fair compensation." Fair compensation? They were building 12 villas worth over $600,000 each, on my property, without so much as asking permission. That night, I could barely sleep. My best friend, Jack, a local surveyor, came over and confirmed what I already knew. The HOA's new, Phase 2, development was sitting squarely on my land. I wanted to shut them down right then and there. Call the police, hire a lawyer, chain myself to the construction gate if I had to. But Jack put his hand on my shoulder and said something that would change everything. "Don't stop them." I stared at him. "What? Let them finish. Let them build every villa, every fence, every road. When they're done, when they've sunk millions into your dirt, then you strike." It sounded crazy at first. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized he was right. If I sued mid-construction, they'd stall, countersway, or claim public interest. But if I waited until they completed it all, I could hit them with a property claim so devastating that their entire wall would crumble overnight. So I waited. For 2 years, I watched from a distance as my pasture transformed into a luxury enclave. I saw buyers touring the model homes, smiling couples signing papers, construction crews pouring concrete like my land was their playground. They didn't know I was watching from behind the tree line, camera in hand, documenting every square foot of their illegal masterpiece. By the 3rd year, the villas were done, complete with streetlights, paved drives, and signs that read, "Clearview Estates, Phase 2. Then came the cherry on top. Gregory himself hosted a grand opening ceremony. He stood there, scissors in hand, cutting a ribbon stretched across my property line. The local news covered it. He called it a symbol of growth and prosperity. That night, I took out my father's old deed box, placed it on the table, and called my lawyer, Ms. Evelyn Marks, sharp, quiet, and ruthless in a courtroom. "Evelyn," I said, "it's time." 2 weeks later, the lawsuit hit like a thunderclap. Holt vs. Clearview Homeowners Association. The claim: unauthorized construction and unlawful occupation of private property. Damages sought: $4.7 million. The HOA board laughed it off at first. They assumed it was just a bluff, until the court summons arrived. Then the panic began. I heard through the grapevine that Gregory tried to get the county to intervene, but every record, every official plat map, proved that parcel 48B was registered to me. The arrogance drained from their faces fast. By the time we got to trial, I walked into that courtroom with a binder so thick it could have been a novel: satellite photos, construction permits, land surveys, and a full chain of title from 1952 to the present. Gregory sat across from me, sweat glistening under the fluorescent lights. The judge, an older man with sharp glasses, leaned forward after reviewing the evidence. "Mr. Pierce," he said, "are you seriously suggesting that you built 12 houses on land that did not belong to you?" Gregory stammered, "Well, Your Honor, we were under the impression." "The impression?" The judge raised an eyebrow. "Do you have any proof of purchase, lease, or transfer of ownership?" Silence. When the verdict came, it was swift and brutal. The court ruled in my favor on every count. The HOA was ordered to either purchase the land at market value, not the value of dirt, but of the developed villas now standing on it, or vacate entirely within 90 days. That meant they'd have to pay me nearly $6.4 million to keep their precious villas. And the best part, their HOA insurance didn't cover gross negligence. Every board member was personally liable. I'll never forget Gregory's face when he realized what that meant. Within a month, the HOA collapsed. Half the homeowners tried to sue the board for fraudulent representation. The other half put their houses on the market, only to find out no one wanted to buy homes sitting on disputed land. In the end, I sold the property, villas and all, to a private developer for $7.2 million. I kept my dad's old farmhouse and 10 acres beside it, enough to remind me of what he taught me: never let anyone redraw your lines. 6 months later, I heard that Gregory filed for bankruptcy. Sharon, the HOA secretary, ended up moving out of state. Clearview Estates dissolved its HOA entirely. And me, I sat on my porch one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, thinking about the long game. Sometimes revenge doesn't come with shouting or fists. Sometimes it comes quietly, wrapped in paperwork, sealed with a judge's signature. That's the thing about land, it remembers who it belongs to. And if you're patient enough, it'll always come back home.